to chapter 32. The portion starts at chapter 30, verse 11. That's where we got up to last week, chapter 30, verse 11. And I'll just start it off because, you know, just to name the portion, it's called Ki Tisa, Ki Tisa, when you take the census. Ki Tisa, when you take. I'll probably just read these first few verses, get through a bit of it, and then we need to get to chapter 32 because we've only got an hour tonight now. Amen. Thanks, Father, for this portion tonight. Thanks for what we just learned there of David Foreman. You know, open his eyes as well, Father. Another Jewish rabbi that doesn't understand the Messiah, but really understands the word. So just thank you that you're opening the eyes of the Jewish nation. Amen. Thank you, Father, that we're witnesses of this right now. Amen. Great. Ki Tisa, chapter 30, verse 11. Then Yehovah spoke to Moshe, saying, Ki Tisa, when you take the census of the children of Israel for their number, then every man shall give a ransom for himself to Yah. When you number them, or in Hebrew, when you visit them, pachad, when you visit them, that there may be no more plague among them. When you number them, visit them, pachad. This is what everyone among those who are numbered shall give, half a shekel, according to the shekel of the sanctuary. A shekel is 20 gerahs, if you didn't know. The half shekel shall be an offering to Yehovah. Everyone included among those who are numbered from 20 years old and above shall give an offering to Yehovah. The rich shall not give more, and the poor shall not give less than half a shekel. When you give an offering to Yah to make an atonement for yourselves, and you shall take the atonement money of the children of Israel, and shall appoint it for the service of the tabernacle of meeting, that it may be a memorial for the children of Israel before Yah, to make atonement for yourselves. Let's just go forward to chapter 38, and then you'll see what this is all about a bit more. Chapter 38 and verse 26. Or verse 25, chapter 38, verse 25. And the silver, this is the silver you see that we just mentioned, the silver from those who were numbered of the congregation was 100 talents and 1,775 shekels, according to the shekel of the sanctuary. A becher, if you remember that, a becher for each man. The reason I'm emphasising that, becher, do you remember it from Genesis chapter 24, verse 22, when Abraham had sent his servants to get a wife for Isaac, and when he found it was Rebecca, wasn't it, he gave her a half shekel, and it said there a becher. He gave her a becher, a gold earring or nose ring, but it weighed a becher, same price. So you can see already this becher is connected to atonement, but it's also connected to a bridal price. It's the bridal price, the price that Isaac gave to get the bride. The price of that Yeshua is paying for us. Because you can see this in the Gospels a bit clearer when it says they came to Peter and they said, don't you, and you, doesn't your master, and you pay the temple tax? And Peter said, yeah, we do. And then he got off and he went in, didn't he? And Yeshua already knew, it said Yeshua knew what was going on. And Yeshua said to him, who has to pay the temple tax? Who did he take the taxes off, the sons or the slaves? And Peter said, off the slaves. And Yeshua said, I know exactly, therefore the sons are exempt. We don't have to pay it. But, you know, let's not fall out over a shekel. Go to the lake. The first fish that you get out will have a silver coin in its mouth. Take that and give it to them for me and you, because it was a half shekel temple tax that they had to pay in them days for the upkeep of the temple and to purchase the sacrificial animals. Everyone was required to pay half a shekel. And Yeshua said, we don't have to pay the sons. It's my temple. It's my temple. I don't have to pay the temple tax. But come on, it's only a shekel. Just give them that between me and you. And in that respect, Yeshua's paid the price for us, because we're not redeemed with silver and gold, it says. We're not received with perishable things like silver and gold. We're redeemed by the precious blood of the Lamb. Amen. But this is the shadow picture of it. So all of that it's saying in Exodus 38, it says in verse 27, and from the 100 talents of silver were cast the sockets of the sanctuary and the base of the veil, 100 sockets from the 100 talents, 1 talent for each socket. And then the rest of them go on to make the hooks. So all of that silver that we've looked at already in the construction of the tabernacle, this is where it comes from the atonement money, was all melted down to make the sockets for the pillars in the tabernacle. You can see what we said all along. We are the tabernacle. And the silver always points to redemption, doesn't it? Silver's like the redemption price. It was 30 pieces of silver that they sold Yeshua for, wasn't it? The price of a slave, 30 pieces of silver. So silver's always talking of redemption. You need to read this through yourself because there's a lot to get through tonight. I just wanted to get us going with that bit. The next part's the bronze laver. I don't want to mention loads, and we'll have more chance in the future, but I want to get on with this tonight. So the bronze laver, just quickly, it says, verse 17, and Yah spoke to Moses, saying, you shall also make a laver of bronze, with its base also of bronze. What for? For washing. Washing. You shall put it between the tabernacle of meeting and the altar, and you shall put water in it. For Aaron and his sons shall wash their hands and their feet in water from it. When they go into the tabernacle of meeting, when they come out near to minister to the altar to minister, to bear an offering made by fire to Yah, they shall wash with water, lest they die. So they shall wash their hands and their feet, lest they die, and it shall be a statute forever to them, to him and his descendants throughout their generations. So all I want to mention quickly on that washing is this is again in the Gospels, the Last Supper, John chapter 13, isn't it? After the supper, Yeshua said, it says Yeshua took a towel, girded himself, and set about washing the disciples' feet, didn't he? And when he got to Peter, Peter said, there's no way you're washing my feet. And Yeshua said, if I don't wash your feet, mate, you've got no part in me. So what did Peter do? Well, I'll wash my head and my hands and everything. And Yeshua said, no, look, now you are clean. Now, you are clean. Why? Because of the word I have spoken to you. You've been made clean now. All you need to do now is wash each other's feet. Keep your feet clean. But you are clean. I don't need to wash your head. And I don't need to wash your hands anymore. Your feet are the things that need washing now. Because we're in the world, aren't we? And we walk in the world and we pick up the dust of this life. And it just gets into us, doesn't it? It gets, in our system. And we need to wash each other's feet and keep each other nice and clean. And it's only the word of God that will do this, isn't it? See, Ephesians chapter 5, verse 26 says that Yeshua cleanses us by the washing of the water of the word. So this is how we need to be as priests. We were talking about it this week, weren't we? You've got to be a priest. You've got to get up, enter his gates with thanksgiving, enter his courts with praise, see the brazen altar, see the sacrifices being made, wash ourselves in the word, and then we can enter the holy place. Then we can go in and be priests and minister in the light of the menorah, at the table of showbread, and at the altar of incense. And that's the next part, which I'm not going to spend time in. It's all about the altar of incense and the holy anointing oil and the incense itself and all of the ingredients that you required. And the chief ingredients for this is myrrh and frankincense. Myrrh and frankincense and other ingredients. But you know where that comes up again, myrrh and frankincense. It's what the wise men brought, wasn't it? The wise men brought gold, frankincense and myrrh. And that's all pointing to the fact that this baby, or this child, sorry, it wasn't a baby when the wise men came. He wasn't a baby, he was a child. And they didn't come to some stable. They went to a house, because Yeshua was now a child. That 3 wise men, it's just madness. Just madness. Anyway, and so what did they bring? Gold, because Yeshua is king. And frankincense and myrrh, because Yeshua is a priest. And these are what priests need, don't they? Priests need plenty of frankincense and plenty of myrrh. And we touched on this last week, that as a gang of priests now, we want to be in that holy place, and we want to come out of that holy place stinking of these things, because this is the Song of Songs. All of those ingredients you will see in chapter 4 of the Song of Songs, when the beloved is saying to the Shulamite how wonderful she is, how beautiful she is. There's no spot in you. You're perfect, my sister, my spouse. You better come with me. And it says how she smells of all of these fragrances, because the bride of the Messiah is going to be very priestly. That's what a bride is. Brides and priests, very similar. We looked at that last week, didn't we, with the garments. The garments of the priesthood are the garments of the bride. And so the bride needs to smell of these fragrances. Myrrh, frankincense, beautiful, beautiful. And the process by which you get these fragrances is a torturous. The tree that they get them from has to be striped, it says. They stripe the bark off the trees, rip the bark off the trees, and then the tree weeps. The tree weeps, and the frankincense or the myrrh oozes out of the tree. But that's called weeping. So the tree has to be striped, and it weeps, and all of these fragrances, that's how they're collected. And it all points to Yeshua, because he was striped, wasn't he? He was striped, and by his stripes we are healed. And it's all pointing to that. All of these fragrances, they're all messianic fragrances, and fragrances that we should, this incense, it formed a cloud, it says, when the incense was burnt at the altar of incense. It's called what's it called? I can't remember the word. I can't remember the word, but anyway, what it is, it's a cloud of incense, and that is to represent entering the cloud of his presence. That's what this is all about. As a gang of priests, we need to be familiar with this furniture and these fragrances. All of this is part of our life, isn't it? Like David said last week in Psalm 141, let my prayer be set before you like incense, the lifting of my hands as the evening sacrifice. So that's all the priest bit. Chapter 31, we'll deal with this next week. We mentioned it last week when God calls. He says in chapter 31, verse 1, then Yah spoke to Moshe, saying, see, I have called by name Bezalel. Bezalel means in the shadow of El, in the shadow of God. Psalm 91, he who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide in the shadow of the Almighty. This is the people we need to be. This is who we need to be, abiding in his presence. Help us, Father. Amen. And then we read this last week, verse 3. I have called Bezalel, the son of Uri, the son of Hur, Ben-Hur. You've heard of Ben-Hur? Well, there he is, Ben-Hur, the son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah. And I have filled him with the Spirit of God, and in wisdom, in understanding, in knowledge, and in all manner of workmanship. And I mentioned that last week, mention it again next week. This is what Paul's praying in Ephesians 1. I pray to the Father that he will give you the spirit of wisdom and understanding in the revelation of the knowledge of the Messiah. Amen. So that's what this is. And that's our job, to build the tabernacle. We are to build each other up. We are to strive to stay in unity here, keeping the unity of the faith. Don't let these little foxes get in and spoil the vine. Don't let it happen. It tries, and sometimes we fall, but righteous men fall, but they get back up straight away. And that's what you've got to do in this life. Just get back up and crack on, because we need to build this tabernacle now. And we want to be these workmen, don't we? We want to be endowed by the Spirit of God with his wisdom, not ours, his wisdom and his understanding, and then we will be useful. Then we'll be able to do the work that we're called to do. Verse 12, just going to be quick on this. I want to get to chapter 32 and try and get through as much of this narrative as we can. So verse 12, is just the last part now of this narrative on the mountain. Moshe's been on the mountain for 40 days and nights, and that's what we've been doing the last 2 weeks. Yah's been giving them all these instructions. It's just carrying on now, and this is how it's going to finish. Chapter 31, verse 12. Yah spoke to Moshe, saying, speak also to the children of Israel, saying, surely my Sabbaths you shall keep. Why? For it's a sign. The Sabbaths are a sign. This is what it says. They're a sign between me and you throughout your generations, that you may know. This is why, that I am Yah who sanctifies you. That's what the Sabbaths are for. They're a sign between us and God, and between God and us, that we are his people, and that he will sanctify us. And they just do. The Sabbath just does. And keeping the feasts, they do. They're great, aren't they? You know, I've been into this now for 5 years or whatever it is, and it's the first year I was just starting to learn a few things, and when I started to understand it, it changed my life. It separated me, and I knew, God, I'm really now, I've got a real faith. That's different. It's different than the way the world tries to interpret it. I'm not trying to make some golden calf anymore of my own imagination. I want to worship you according to the way you've said. Because like you said last week on the thing, the creator of the universe knows what he's on about. And if he says these things, he means it. And they're not there to be changed, or to have a conference about and think, should we stay with these or should we change it? This is the creator. And he said it's a sign. And we mentioned this a few weeks ago, I'll just say it once again. But the Hebrew word for sign, what is it? Anyone remember? Oath. Thank you, Joe. Oath. And how do you spell oath? Aleph, Vav, Tav. So what's that mean? When Yeshua turns up in Revelation and he says, look, I am the Aleph and the Tav. That's what he's saying. I am the sign. I am the sign. Every other sign was just pointing to me. Everything else is just a shadow to point to me. I am the actual Aleph and the Tav. And in the Paleo Hebrew, the Aleph is always the picture of the ox, isn't it? The strong one, God, the Aleph. And the Tav in the Paleo Hebrew is a cross. And a Vav is a nail. So Aleph, Vav, Tav means the Almighty nailed to the cross. Amen. That is the sign. That is the sign. And like I say all the time, the Sabbath is a shadow of the Messiah. Yeah. Paul says this in Colossians. I don't know how people have got away with mistranslating that. When Paul says in Colossians 2:17, don't let anyone judge you regarding Sabbaths and regarding feasts, food and drink. Don't let anyone judge you about that, because these things are a shadow of the Messiah. The Messiah is the substance. These things are a shadow of things to come, he says. I mean, this is written after Yeshua's being dead, buried and risen again. So he's not talking, I mean, the feasts are a shadow of that, but Paul's talking after that event, and he's saying that they still are a shadow of things to come. Don't let anyone judge you about it. Don't let anyone say that you're being legalistic, or you're just trying to be Jewish or something. Don't let anyone say that to you. Don't let anyone steal your faith by putting that doubt in your head, because Paul said, don't let anyone judge you about this. They are a shadow of things to come. So that's that, chapter 32 now. Only because we haven't got loads of time and there's lots to read tonight. I want to get through as much as I can, but definitely at the end, I want to finish off in 2 Corinthians chapter 3. And we will read it, we'll have to make time to read it. But again, the rule is here, whatever we read tonight, we should be doing the Torah portion ourselves anyway. And then 2 Corinthians chapter 3, and some more. Try and read it yourselves, and you can understand where Paul's coming from. I mean, Paul's a Jew, isn't he? Well, he's a Benjamite, isn't he? Yeah. He's a Hebrew of Hebrews, a Pharisee of Pharisees, he said. Paul knew that Torah probably better than most people, you know, probably better than most people ever have done. And Paul must have, I mean, this portion tonight's massive. It's the sin of the golden calf. Israelis must have been studying this for years. Thanks for Justin brought. We've had a little teaching from David Foreman, who's quoted the Rambam, he's the greatest of all the sages, and Rashi. You know, if you mention Rambam and Rashi to the Jews, they're like that, aren't they? Yes. You know what you're on about. Because these are the people they study, and we've looked at it tonight, how these people have wrestled with these scriptures and tried to work it out. Well, Paul was like that. Paul must have always been meditating on these scriptures, and 2 Corinthians chapter 3 is Paul's teaching on this portion. I mean, it just is. When you read it, he's using so much of the language out of this portion to explain to us the glory of the new covenant. That's what Paul's showing. He's teaching us from this how glorious the new covenant is. And that's why I want to finish with that, just to send us all out knowing really what we're part of here and what we should be having access to.
It's an opportunity to think of us being part of God's completeness.
Yes.
Thinking about the law and the fulfillment in Christ.
Yes.
Isn't it?
Amen.
And the fact, when you mentioned before about the Lord who created the cosmos, cares about each one
Amen.
of us and every single detail of our lives.
Amen.
And that's what all the details of the coloured cloth and the gold and the silver, every single detail of our lives.
Yes, Jim.
Cares about.
Yes, Jim. That's why we love Psalm 139 here. Your thoughts. Amen. Amen. That's what we've said this over the past couple of years. This is all about God creating a dwelling place, which all points to his eternal plan to dwell with us. God, if only we could grasp how important we are to God. You know, let's not think of ourselves any more highly than we ought to. But like, he thinks very highly of us. So chapter 32, let's do it now. Chapter 31 verse 18 is how it finishes off. When he had made an end of all the speaking with him on Mount Sinai, he gave Moshe 2 tablets of the testimony, tablets of stone written with the finger of God. And even that is part of 2 Corinthians chapter 3. So God now has given Moses the tablets. Chapter 32. Now when the people saw that Moshe delayed coming down, see, you forget sometimes Moshe's been on the mountain for 40 days and 40 nights having a great time. But the children of Israel have been waiting down the bottom of Sinai for 40 days and 40 nights. And they didn't know it was meant to take this long. Every other time, Moshe's just been up, down. They're like that. 40 days. We're having a laugh at him. What's happened to Moshe? Oh, you know what? Maybe Moshe's been destroyed. Because they were panicking, weren't they? Oh, we can't go near that God. He'll kill us.
Will he come back?
Well, maybe that's what they're going through. What's happened to Moshe? Maybe he's blowing it. What are we going to do? You can understand a little bit, but let's never forget, this 40 days and 40 nights, it's a biblical theme, isn't it? And you see it, most importantly of all, in the life of Yeshua, don't you? Because once Yeshua's being baptised in the River Jordan, he goes, led by the Spirit, into the wilderness for 40 days and 40 nights. And what goes on there? The devil comes, doesn't he, to test him and to tempt him. And how does he do it? If you are the Son of God. If you are the Son of God. So you can imagine what the devil's doing with these children of Israel. Oh, what's happened to that Moses? Oh, you're lost now. You've got no chance. You're lost in the wilderness. You can imagine how the enemy is playing with these children of Israel. Moses is having a great time up on the mountain talking to God, or listening to God, more important. Anyway, so the people are wondering, where's Moshe? He's delayed coming down from the mountain, and the people gathered together to Aaron and said to him, come, make us gods that shall go before us. As for this Moshe, the man, this is one of the problems now, the man who brought us up out of the land of Egypt. Well, that's not true. Because the first of the words was, I am Jehovah, I brought you out of the lands of Egypt. Not some man. And this is already the problem. Their religion, their faith is looking to a man. And it's always what's caused loads of problems, hasn't it? Far too many people look to men. Look to men and think men are all that. Well, they're not, are they? Men aren't. And this is the problem here. They're looking. Moses brought us up out of Egypt. And it was God, wasn't it? And Aaron said to them, break off the golden earrings which are in your ears of your wives, your sons and your daughters, and bring them to me. So they obviously all had golden earrings in. So all the people broke off the golden earrings which were in their ears and brought them to Aaron. And he received the gold from their hand. And he fashioned it, let's remember this, he fashioned it with an engraving tool and made a moulded calf Then they said, this is your God. This is your God, O Israel, that brought you up out of the land of Egypt. So when Aaron saw it, he built an altar before it. And Aaron made a proclamation and said, tomorrow is a feast to Yahovah. Well, it wasn't, was it? We know quite well that tomorrow was not a feast to Yahovah, because we know the feasts of Yah, and they are not. This day wasn't one of them. Shavuot was about 40 odd days ago. There is no feast 40 days after Shavuot. So this is just Aaron carrying on with himself, proclaiming man-made feasts. You probably learned this off Yitro. Remember when we were in Jethro in chapter 18, and Jethro done the same thing. He was like, oh, God's great, and offered all kinds of sacrifices and proclaimed a feast, man-made. And men are very good at this. Men are very good at inventing feasts and making them sound all holy. Nonsense. It's madness. We only want his feasts. This is Aaron. Tomorrow is a feast to Yah. Verse 6. Then they rose early on the next day, offered burnt offerings, and brought peace offerings. This is exactly what they did at Exodus 24 when the covenant was being ratified. And so you can see, take a bit of truth, take a bit of the things we've learned and mix it with our own ways. This is danger. This is what causes lukewarmness. This is what mixture. God hates mixture. And that's what's going on here. Oh, well, we offered burnt offerings and peace offerings a few weeks ago, and that seemed to go down well. Well, we'll do that now, but we'll do it our way, at our times. This is religion. Look what they did now. They brought peace offerings, and the people sat down to eat and drink, and rose up to play. Rose up to sakach, the same word when we see Abraham in Genesis, when he started laughing. When God said he was going to have a child with Sarah, and Sarah started laughing, same word, but more thingy, whatever, is we seen it later on in Exodus, in Genesis, when it said Ishmael was mocking Isaac. Ishmael started to mock Isaac, and Sarah complained about it, didn't she? And it caused Ishmael to be cast out, the son of the bondwoman. So what, remember that now, if you're thinking along the lines that we've been talking about, Galatians chapter 4, when Paul said clearly there are two covenants. One is represented by Ishmael. That's the covenant of bondage, which it says in Galatians is Sinai. Well, look what's happening at Sinai. The people are sacrificing to false gods and rose up to mock, just like Ishmael. And that's why Paul can quite comfortably say this experience turns into an Ishmael experience. It turns into bondage. This is why the covenant's getting broken now. They're going to break the covenant now. And that's the rest of the story tonight. We're already running out of time now. Verse 7, and Yah said to Moshe, go, get down, for your people, whom you brought up out of the land of Egypt, have corrupted themselves. This is what David Foreman was just saying, wasn't it? It's very Noah-like this now. It's the same phrase that God said to Noah, that all of the earth, all the flesh has corrupted itself. Yeah. They've all become corrupt now. So what I'm going to do, Noah, I'm going to destroy all the flesh on the earth now. It's a similar situation now. God's saying, this people, they've corrupted themselves as well, so I'm going to destroy these as well. This is what we've seen before. They've corrupted themselves. They have turned aside quickly out of the way which I commanded them. They've made themselves a moulded calf, and they've worshipped it and sacrificed to it, and said, this is your God, O Israel, that brought you out of the land of Egypt. This is God telling Moses what they've done. And like that thing we just watched, the Rambam questioned this, and he's gone, what's Moses supposed to do here? What's Moses supposed to say? Oh, come on, God, it's not so hard, that. Leave them alone. Moses like that. Oh, no. What? He's done what? And he's got no answer. He's got no defence to bring. Because what can you say to this? And he can't apologise for them, because they're carrying on with it. You know, we can't just go, oh, sorry, forgive them for that, Lord. They're still doing it. When he comes down the mountain in a few hours or so, they're going to be in full swing. So it's not like Moshe can repent on their behalf and say, Oh, I'm sorry, we'll stop it right now. Because they're in full swing. And that's what the Rambam was questioning, going, and he's seen the gap here. Because Yah just carries on. He's waiting for the reply. Doesn't get a reply. And then he says in verse 9, and Yah said to Moshe, I have seen this people, and indeed it's a stiff-necked people. It's a stiff-necked people. And that's the same word as rebellion. And it says in Samuel, doesn't it? Rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft. The rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft. That's what's going on here. This is a deep situation. And it's demonic what these people are doing. The mocking, the being like Ishmael, they're a stiff-necked people. And that's the human race. That's why we seen the other week, God said, you've got to redeem the firstborn donkey with a lamb. Otherwise you've got to break its neck, because it's a stiff-necked animal. And if you don't redeem it with a lamb, its neck must be broken. And that's talking about the human race. That unless we are redeemed by a lamb, you've got to pay the price. You've got to have your neck broke. You've got to die. The wages of sin is death. Unless you put your faith and trust and cling and lay hold of the Messiah, the Lamb of God, then you are accountable yourself. Stiff-necked. Verse 10, now therefore, this is I heard a couple of you going, oh yeah, amen. This is what Foreman said before. Now therefore, God's saying, leave me alone, that my wrath may burn hot against them, and that I may consume them, and I will make of you a great nation. And I really believe what they're saying there. God's saying, if you leave me alone now, that's what's going to happen. I am going to wipe them out. And you're incapable, Moses. I've done it before with Noah's crowd. I've done it before. It's not like I can't do this. It's not like I won't do this. You know, I've got previous for this, Moses. I've got previous for wiping out all of mankind and just leaving 8 people floating around in a boat. I've done it before. I'll do it again with you, Moses. If you leave me alone, that's what's going to happen. God's crying out for an intercessor here. He wants someone that's going to stand in the gap and go, I won't leave you alone. I don't want you to do this. I want to intercede for these people. That's what God wants. He's asking for that, calling for that. Come on, I want to find someone that'll take me serious and that will plead with me. Someone that'll get before me and cry out, God, look at the state of our land. It's wicked. It deserves your judgment, God. But please, one more chance of mercy. Please give us one more move of your Holy Spirit, that we can let the gospel go forth in our land and let there be a great repentance in our land. Please give us one more chance, once more, Lord. Mercy before judgment. He wants this. Someone's just sitting there going, oh, well, sounds, go to church and all that. He wants us to be this.
2 Chronicles 7:14.
Yes, if my people that are called by my name.
Yeah. We're a rebellious people.
Yeah.
We're people of disobedience.
Good.
We turned away. As a nation, we need to gather together.
That's right.
And seek God.
Yes, Jim.
And get back.
Amen. And let it start here. Let it start here. Let God raise up places in other cities. But in this city, we're the people that are taking this seriously now and going, come on, and we pray for all of our churches in our city that there'll be an awakening. Especially this year, George, 70 years since Israel being back in the land, and the embassy of America is getting moved this year now. It was 2 years ago, a couple of weeks ago, and the Creator's gone, whatever, you're working on my time now. This is my time we're on now. And it's all going to work according to his plan. We just got the chance to get in on it. We got the chance to get in on it. Let's get in on it. That's what God wants here. Don't leave me alone. He's basically saying, if you leave me alone, Moses, I'm going to wipe these out and start again with you. So really, don't leave me alone.
And it's urgent.
Yeah, it is urgent. It is.
For all of us.
Amen. Verse 11, this is what we want to do. Then Moshe pleaded with Yahovah, his Elohim, and said, Yah, why does your wrath burn hot against your people? They're not my people, they're your people, and you brought them up. I've been getting the credit for it, Moses is saying, and they're not. They went from giving me the credit to giving some golden calf the credit. No, you're the one, God, who brought them up. They're your people. It's what you were saying tonight. We are his people that flock under his care. Let's sing that, amen. Why should the Egyptians speak and say, he brought them out to harm them, to kill them in the mountains, and to consume them from the face of the earth? Turn from your fierce wrath and relent from this harm to your people. Now this is the point. This is what God's been waiting to hear. Verse 13, and this is what he wants to hear from us now. Remember, God, remember, Father, remember Abraham, remember Isaac, and remember Israel, your servants to whom you swore by your own self. And I shouldn't have to remind you of that, but I will. Where's that? Genesis chapter 22, wasn't it? We seen that the other week, didn't we? When Paul was saying 430 years after the promise. Yes. What was the promise? When did God swear by himself? In Genesis chapter 22, when Abraham stretched out his hand to kill Isaac, his son, and the angel said, Abraham, Abraham, don't do it. I have seen you were willing to sacrifice your son. And now, Abraham, because of that, I swear by myself. This is what God said, wasn't it? Genesis 22, verse 15. I swear by myself. And went on to proclaim the gospel. And that's what it was, wasn't it? The gospel. I'm going to bless all of the nations now because of you, Abraham. And your descendants will be like the stars of heaven. And this is what Moses is doing. He's interceding before God with the gospel. I mean, that is the gospel. You can't argue with that, can you? Galatians chapter 3, verse 8 says it clearly. The gospel was preached to Abraham. It says it, doesn't it? No one in the world can dispute the fact that the gospel was preached to Abraham. And that's it. And Moses is coming before the creator of the universe, bringing the gospel to him, going, God, yeah, but remember the gospel. Remember the gospel, God. Remember the promise you made to Abraham, Isaac and Jacob, that you will bless them and you would raise up from them as a nation, as numerous as the stars of the heaven. It doesn't mention the sand of the sea here, because we've differentiated, haven't we? As much as there's two covenants and two mountains, etc. When you've got the sand of the sea and the stars of the heaven, like an earthly offspring and a heavenly offspring. And Moshe here is appealing on behalf of the heavenly offspring. That's what he's on about. God, no, don't do this because you've got a heavenly offspring in here. Amen. You know, we can deal with the sinners. And God says, don't worry, I'll deal with the sinners. I know the hearts of everyone here. There might have been people right into this. Yes, let's build a calf. There might have been people going, sure about this? But, you know, too timid and too afraid to speak up, which is not good. But you can understand the mentality of them when the mob's ruling. But God knows, God will judge these people. We'll see that soon. But for right now, Moshe is interceding correctly because he is bringing Abraham, Isaac and Jacob into play. They're the cards you need to play. You know what I mean? Because that is the gospel, as I've said. That is the gospel. It is, isn't it? Yeah. Amen. Amen. So verse 14, Moshe was successful because it says, so Yahovah relented. In Hebrew, it's that comes from the word Nacham, which again is a Noah word. Noah, like Noah, Nacham. Yah was comforted, it says. He was comforted. That's beautiful, isn't it? Moshe has interceded correctly and it has comforted Yah. Because it was Yah that said to Abraham, wasn't it? Please take your son. God pleaded with Abraham to offer Isaac. So this has comforted God now. He's like, oh God, amen. The gospel is still intact. I've at least got one fella here, Moshe, who has got faith in the gospel message. This is the gospel message. And this is so important. Without this, Israel was getting wiped out. Moshe has stayed, has interceded, and he has brought about a comforting for God. God is comforted by this. So the Noah scenario was being avoided, but it's very Noah-like language. Verse 15, and Moshe turned and went down from the mountain, and the 2 tablets of the testimony were in his hand. I mean, if you watch the 10 Commandments, they're like 2 flags, aren't they? 2 big concrete flags that you get in the pavements. It says they were in his hand. 2 tablets, so I don't think they were that big. I think they were like a book, like an A4 book or something. No, it's only 10 Commandments sitting them on them, you know what I mean? So we come down with him in his hand, unless you have big hands. The tablets were written on both sides. The tablets were written on both sides, Well, that reminds me of Revelation chapter 5 when it says there was a scroll written on the front and the back, sealed with 7 seals, remember that? Tablets were written on both sides. Now the tablets are the work of God, and the writing was the writing of God engraved on the tablets. And when Yeshua heard the noise of the people as they shouted, he said to Moshe, there is a noise of war in the camp. But Moshe said, it's not the noise of the shout of victory, nor the noise of the cry of defeat, but the sound of singing that I can hear. So it was, as soon as he came near the camp, he saw the calf and the dancing. So Moshe's anger became hot. He's not like God now, because he hadn't seen it himself. He was hearing about it, but now he's seen it with his own eyes. He's like, what? You're having a laugh. His anger became hot, and he cast the tablets out of his hands and broke them at the foot of the mountain, which is symbolic, because the covenant has now been broken. The covenant's broke now. They have broke the covenant, and that's why Moshe breaks the tablets, because they broke the covenant. Thank God for Yeshua. Amen. Thank God for Yeshua. Then he took the calf, verse 20, which he had burnt in the fire, and he burnt it in the fire, and ground it to powder, and he scattered it on the water. Don't forget where that water came from, by the way. This is that miracle water, isn't it? This is that water that came from the rock. Yeah. So even this has got salvation in it. He's going to grind up this golden calf and grind it into the miracle water that came from the rock and make the people drink it. And that reminds me of Numbers chapter 5. We'll be doing in a few weeks, when God says, look, this is the deal now. If a fella has got a wife and the spirit of jealousy comes upon him and he thinks his wife's being unfaithful, then this is what you've got to do. And it's very similar to this. That's like write curses, didn't he, on paper and then sprinkle it in water, and the woman had to drink it. That's just what Israel's going through here. It's like God's putting them all through this trial now to see how faithful they've been. Each person will have to take this cup, just like the case of the adulterous woman, because Israel here has been the adulterous woman. Yes. And God's going to work out who's guilty here. The next episode we go through now, if you've been reading Bill Bullock this week, he has an interesting way of looking at this. I don't know if I agree with it. I think it's very good. But I tend to think he might have a point.
Steve, 1.2, that I've got a book or something that says about it, it speaks about this, and it says that if you put powdered gold, you know,
it turns red.
It goes red like blood.
Yeah.
Blood. It turns the blood. It turns the blood like colour.
What you're just saying there, this water with the ground burnt gold in it would turn blood red. Yes. Yeah, I've also come across that myself. So there is a real remedy in this as well. But we're going to see at the end of this chapter that a plague breaks out in the camp. And my understanding, going along with Bill Bullock here, is that this was God's way of seeing who needed judging. This was God's way. You know, drink this water and a plague's going to break out. This is what happened with the unfaithful bride. She had to drink it, and if she was guilty, you know, her thigh would swell and all the rest of it. And so I think this is God's system of going, right, this is how I'm going to, everyone to drink this. And those that are really, really guilty, those hearts that are really, really against me and rebellious, well, I'm going to plague them. And those that, you know, just got carried along with the crowd, well, we'll give them a pass for now. You know. So this is what Bill Bullock says, that this next episode, he says that this is Moshe doing it in his own strength. That's just what Bill says, and it's got a good point. Verse 22, so Aaron said, verse 21, Moshe said to Aaron, what did this people do to you, that you have brought so great a sin upon them? It says in Deuteronomy about this, that God was very angry with Aaron, and he was going to destroy Aaron, but Moshe pleaded for Aaron. It says that in Deuteronomy 9. It's always good to compare notes with Deuteronomy, because it's like the second reading of all this, and you get some more details. Well, Aaron was going to get it, but Moshe interceded for Aaron. So Aaron said, don't let the anger of my Lord become hot. You know the people. They are set on evil. For they said to me, make us gods that shall go before us. As for this Moshe, the man who brought us out of the land of Egypt, we don't know what's become of him. And I said to them, whoever has any gold, let them break it off. So he gave it to me, and I cast it into the fire, and this calf came out. Yeah. And again, I like these commentaries, because what they're saying is here is, it came out of Aaron. It came out of him. He's the one that got the two. I don't think he's trying to lie about it and go, oh, it just popped out. He's saying, this is what I done. This came out of my heart. Because they've been in Egypt all their lives. They've been around this false worship system. And one of the chief gods they worship was a cow. They worship cows in Egypt. And so this is just natural to the children of Israel. We want an image of a god. Oh, this is what I've done, Aaron. This is what I've done, Moshe. You know, I just made this calf. Because that's what we're used to. And the people wanted some sort of God. All this time, God was giving Moshe the explicit details for what he wanted to represent him. He wanted a tabernacle to represent him. He wanted all of those beautiful pieces of furniture we've been looking at to represent who he was. There was some golden calf. He had a beautiful tabernacle to present to us. That was going to reveal the gospel. That was going to reveal who he is to us. Not some golden calf. This is how it's horrible, this, isn't it? No, what's even weirder? And we haven't got time, but if you go to 1 Kings 12, 1 Kings chapter 12, most of you will know this. But this is what happened later on, wasn't it? You'd think after this episode, the last thing Israel would ever make again would be a golden calf. You'd think you'd learn this lesson once for all, wouldn't you? And go, you know what, we might get some things wrong, but the last thing we're ever going to do again is make another golden calf. Well, in 1 Kings chapter 12, when Israel split into two nations, you've got Israel and Judah. The northern tribes, 10 northern tribes under Jeroboam. What does he do? Makes 2 golden calves. 2. Sets one up in the northern end and one up in the southern end, and says the same proclamation. These are your gods, O Israel, who brought you up out of the lands of Egypt. And what was all that about? That was all to stop the house of Israel going back to Jerusalem to worship for the feasts. He was like, I'm going to give them an alternative system here, because I know if them people start going back to Jerusalem, their hearts will turn against me, and they'll want to become part of the true Israel again. And so to prevent that, I'm going to give them 2 golden calves, and I'm even changing the feast days. That's what he did, and he set up a false tabernacles and month after the real tabernacles. Well, you can see that that's what religion's done, hasn't it? Yeah. It's replaced the feasts of Yah and given us these nonsense things like Christmas and Easter, and just things that are completely and utterly pagan, got nothing at all to do with this, but they are there to replace and to take our attention off and to stop us worshipping the Creator in the way he wants to be, and to attend his feasts and to celebrate on his calendar. He wants us to do it his way, and so man and flesh will always come up with another system, and golden calf worship seems to be what we gravitate to. You know, sin, horrible. Verse 25, so when Moses saw that the people were unrestrained, for Aaron had not restrained them to their shame amongst the nations, the enemies, then Moses stood in the entrance of the camp and said, whoever is on Yah's side, come to me. That's what Bill Bullock's saying. God didn't say to Moses, do this. So you can weigh this up yourself. I'm just giving you both ways of looking at this. Bill Bullock's saying that God didn't give any instruction about this. This is Moshe getting all vexed. And we know this. You said it a couple of years ago there on the tape in Genesis 49. God said this, didn't he, in the prophecy, that Levi is a man of bloodshed. Violence. He's a man of violence. And there it is now. It's Moshe who is a Levite. Moses got previous for murder. And he's calling the Levites to anyone. What's he say? Whoever is on Yah's side, come to me. Yeah. And all the sons of Levi gathered themselves together to him. And he said to them, thus says, so you have to weigh that yourself. Did God say this? Is this Moses? Thus says Yahovah, the Elohim of Israel, let every man put his sword on his side and go in and out from the entrance to entrance throughout the camp, and let every man kill his brother, every man his companion, and every man his neighbour. So the sons of Levi did according to the words of Moshe, and about 3,000 men of the people fell that day. And I don't know if any of you, have you heard these grace people? Grace is great. I love grace. We're saved by grace. So I'm not ever saying nothing bad about grace. It's just these people who twist things, you know, and one of the, probably the most famous, I'd never mention names if I could help it, but one of the most famous who I was sort of listening to for a while at one stage, and others, they come out with this horrible lie, and it's a horrible lie from the devil, and they say, the day the law was given, 3,000 died. The day the Spirit was given, 3,000 lived. And you're all meant to go, boo, the law, oh, boo, 3,000 died when the law was given. It's like, hang on a minute, that's not what happened at all. That's not what happened at all. When the law was given in Genesis, Exodus 24, no one died. No one died. This day, 3,000 have died. This isn't the day the law was given. This is the day the law was broken. And that's what these liars come out with, or deceivers, or deceived people. I hope they're just deceived people. But whatever they are, they're deceiving people. Because they've got thousands of followers, and they're praying with themselves going, oh, the law's done away with now, it's not for us anymore, it's the ministry of death. And on the day the law was given, 3,000 died. Liar. No, that's not happened. It's all the day the law was broke, 3,000 died. Let's have it right, please. But it's not a coincidence that it was on the day of Pentecost that 3,000 lived. 3,000 were filled with the Spirit. So that's not a coincidence. The 3,000 do connect with each other. 3,000 died because of disobedience. 3,000 lived because of obedience. But it's nothing wrong with the law. Nothing wrong with the law.
It's that deception those days, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I'm saying to you, and it comes out.
All these different religions, but there's so many attracted by it.
I know.
Like the Mormons, Jehovah's Witnesses, and all these others.
Yeah.
There's a huge following.
I know.
But it's all this the way the enemy's using it.
Exactly, Jim. I know. Exactly. Exactly. So Moses said, consecrate yourselves today to Yah, that he may bestow on you a blessing this day, for every man as opposed his son and his brother. It just reminds me of Cain and Abel, this. Go and kill your brothers. It's like, oh, I don't know, I just don't seem great. Anyway, give us wisdom, Father.
On that, Steve,
Pardon?
that's a difficult one that can't help not commenting.
Okay.
You don't see anywhere, well, from what I'm reading at the moment, I'm not reading that the Father has chastised Moses for what he's done.
No, you're right. I'm saying, I'm weighing it up myself, Sonia. I'm just saying it is the other way of looking at it. You know, I really respect Bill Bullock, so I take him seriously. And I'm weighing it up, so I've tried to say that I'm not dogmatic. I'm just saying that's another way of looking at this. Because of what we're going to read now as well, you see, it says, well, he said that they're going to get a great blessing this day. We don't get any record of that because it says in verse 30, now it came to pass on the next day that Moses said to the people, you've committed a great sin, so now I will go up to Yah, perhaps I can make atonement for your sin. Then Moshe returned to Yah and said, as if God didn't know, God's the one who told him. Now Moshe's turning up, you're never going to believe this, God. Oh, these people have committed a great sin and they made themselves a golden calf, a god of gold. It's like, well, we know this. We know that already. God told Moshe and sent him down. Yet now, if you will forgive their sin, but if not, I pray, blot me out of your book which you have written. And Yah said to Moshe, whoever has sinned against me, I will blot him out of my book. I'll deal with this, Moshe. Now therefore, go lead the people to the place of which I have spoken to you. Behold, my angels shall go before you. Nevertheless, in the day when I visit for punishment, I will visit punishment upon them for their sin. So Yahovah plagued the people because of what they did with the calf which Aaron made. And I think that's his point, that Yah is well capable himself of dealing with this one-on-one.
Yeah, I have looked at that.
Yeah.
I have looked at that.
So you can just weigh that, can't you? And, there's, just give us wisdom, Father. Don't let us bring error into this or take anything away that would cause us to judge this wrongly. It is what it is. We've read what we've read, and you're the judge. Amen. Amen. So, whatever you want to think about that. There's chapter 33. We're not even going to get through this, are we? Chapter 33. You can't. What's it do here? Chapter 33. Let's just go to verse 7. Moshe took his tent and pitched it outside the camp, far from the camp, and called it the tabernacle of meeting. So this is his tent. No, it's not the tabernacle. We haven't built the tabernacle yet. He's only had the instructions a couple of days ago. He's setting up his own little tent outside of the camp. But this represents the tabernacle of meeting. And it came to pass that everyone who saw Yah went out to the tabernacle of meeting, which was outside the camp. So it was, whenever Moshe went out into the tabernacle, that all the people rose. And each man stood at his tent door and watched Moshe until he had gone into the tabernacle. And it came to pass when Moshe entered the tabernacle that the pillar of cloud descended and stood at the door of the tabernacle. And Yah talked with Moshe. Beautiful. Isn't it? All the people saw the pillar of cloud standing at the tabernacle door, and all the people rose and worshipped, each man in his tent door. So Yah spoke to Moshe face to face, as a man speaks to his friend. And he would return to the camp, but his servant Joshua, the son of Nun, a young man, didn't depart from the tabernacle. Then Moshe said to Yah, "See, you say to me, bring up this people, but you have not let me know whom you will send with me. Yet you have said, I know you by name. And you've also said, I have found grace. You have found grace in my sight. Now therefore, I pray, if I have found grace in your sight, show me now your way, that I may know you, that I may find grace in your sight, and consider that this nation is your people." What a prayer! What a prayer! I want to find, this is what they call the Old Testament. I thought he didn't invent grace till the New Testament. Well, that's obviously wrong, isn't it? Because here's Moshe in the Old Testament praying for grace. Grace. There's far more grace in the Old Testament than the New. And Yah said, "My presence will go with you, and I will give you rest." Rest, which is that word for, we mentioned before, from Noah, Nuach. I'll give you Nuach, rest. I will give you rest. It's very Abrahamic and very Noah-like, this portion. Verse 15, then he said to him, "Your presence does not go with us. Don't bring us up from here. For how will it be known? How then will it be known that your people and I have found grace in your sight, except you go with us?" That's how people will know that we found grace, when his presence is with us. And that's how we're meant to be now. This is the new covenant now. It's better. "So we shall be separate from your people. Yeah, we shall be separate, your people and I, from all the people who are on the face of the earth." So Yah said to Moshe, "I will also do this thing that you have spoken, for you have found grace in my sight, and I know you by name." And he said, "Please, show me your glory." Then he said, "I will make all my goodness pass before you, and I will proclaim the name Yehovah before you. I will be gracious to whom I will be gracious, and I will have compassion on whom I will have compassion." But he said, "You cannot see my face, for no one shall see my face and live." Well, we just said before, Moshe spoke with God face to face, as a man speaks to a friend. Well, that was the qualifier. As a man speaks to his friend, it's an idiom. It's an idiom for the relationship that God and Moshe had. Face to face means not hiding nothing, not being two-faced, not turning your back, not being, private. This is an open relationship, face to face. Search me and try me, God. If there's anything in me, get it out of me. Please know me, Lord God. Don't let me get away with being double-minded. Don't let me deceive myself. It says that in James, doesn't it? So be a doer of the word, not a hearer only, deceiving yourself. Because if you're self-deceived, you're going to deceive everyone and try and deceive God. Well, you can't deceive God. So that's just an idiom when it says no one shall see, when Moshe spoke face to face, because no one can see the face of God and live, it says. But I just wanted to mention quickly about that, because we read it in the Gospels, didn't we, on Sunday, about the face of Yeshua. Remember, we've seen Yeshua in Luke 9:51. It says he set his face to go to Jerusalem. He set his face to go to Jerusalem. And then a couple of verses later it said his face was set like flint. So if you want to see the face of God, Isaiah 50 doesn't half help you. Isaiah chapter 50 doesn't half help. If you want to see his face, Isaiah chapter 50, verse 6. I gave my back to those who struck me, and my cheeks to those who plucked out the beard. I did not hide my face from shame and spitting, for Yahovah Elohim will help me. Therefore I will not be disgraced. Therefore I have set my face like a flint, and I know I will not be ashamed. This is a prophecy of Yeshua, and that's why it says in Luke, he set his face like flint, because he knew what was in store for him. He knew what those people in Jerusalem wanted to do to him, but he set his face like flint. He knew his back was going to be what it says there. He gave his back to those who struck me. He knew he was going to be ripped open. He knew his beard was going to be plucked out of his face, and that his face, the face of God, was going to be spat at and beaten. He knew all this, but he set his face like flint. And that's why it says it in the prophets. And this is why Yeshua did it, because he knew what was written of him. He knew what he had to go through, and he did it all for us. And yet scripture had to be fulfilled. And that's why this is so relevant now, when Moshe is wanting to see his face. And God's like, well, you can't see my face yet. Because it was only at the advent of Yeshua that the Gospel of John says, we beheld him, we saw his face. We saw his face. Amen. So we can now see the face of God. And that's where I wanted to finish tonight, 2 Corinthians chapter 3. So let me just try and wrap up, and we'll read that. That might take 5 minutes to read, or 10. So just before we get there, because there's so much more here, we haven't done very well tonight, we haven't had much time maybe.
It's been good.
Yeah, but what I mean is chapter 34 is when, there's so much we wanted to read here. You know, so we stay for another hour. Verse 22, you see, is when God says, I'm going to put you in a rock. I'm going to put you in the cleft of the rock, and I'll cover you with my hand, and I'll pass by. Then I'll take away my hand, and you see my back and not my face. But that cleft of the rock, it takes you to the Song of Songs, you see. It's in the Song of Songs, chapter 2, when it says, my beloved spoke and said to me, come away, my beloved. Come away, my love. Come away. Let me see you in the cleft of the rock. It's a Song of Songs, friends. And it's to each and every person here. God's saying, I want to see you there. Not just Moses. I want to see you in that place. Yeshua is the rock. And the cleft of the rock is when his side was open for us. That's where we belong. I want to see you in there. And then it says, and I want to hear your voice. And I want to see your face. Because your face is lovely. And your voice is sweet. That's the Song of Songs invitation to everyone. That's the wise version will respond to that. Because it's the invitation to intimacy. Come away, my love. Come away on your own. Come here, me and you, face to face. I want that relationship with you. I had it with Moses. I want to have it with you as well. That's the way it is. That's this new covenant, you see. And then chapter 34 goes on about when Yah actually did do this, and he proclaims the name. And that's in verse 6. Yah passed before him and proclaimed, Yehovah, Yehovah, which means who was, who is, and who will be. The eternal one, from everlasting to everlasting. He does not change. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. Yehovah, Yehovah, God, merciful, gracious, long-suffering, abounding in goodness and truth, keeping mercy for thousands, forgiving iniquity and transgression and sin. 3 things: iniquity, transgression and sin. Iniquity is intentional, rebellious transgressions. That's what that is. He forgives rebellious, intentional transgressions. That's what he does. If that's a license to sin, then that just means you need to, deal with things, because we don't want a license to sin. None of us do. Our hearts, and you know, our hearts and you, and we abhor sin. And when we sin, it breaks our heart. It should too. If you've got a new heart with a Torah written on it, and you sin, it should break your heart. And it does. You know what it's like to sin. You don't just go, whatever. You go, oh, God, forgive me, Lord. And you know what? Create a clean heart within me, Lord. And renew a right spirit within me. And please, get this out of me. Because, you know, I get head off with these things. And please help me. That's what he wants, because that's what David said. That he won't despise that. He will not despise a broken and a contrite heart. He'll forgive that. He'll forgive it. This is who he is. This is who he is. He's explaining who he is here. This is what I do. I forgive sin. I forgive you. Amen. Verse 34, chapter 34, verse 29 is where we want to finish off in 2 Corinthians chapter 3. So it finishes off in chapter 34, verse 35. That's the end of the portion. And it's all about this next bit, is that when Moshe came down from the mountain, after he'd got a new set of tablets, God gave him a new set, or he said, get yourself another set, and I'll write on them again. It's like the covenant getting renewed. You give them another chance. And then when Moshe came down, it says his face was shining, because of the presence of God. But it says here that he veiled his face. He veiled it, and it doesn't tell you why. Yeah, but why does he put a veil on it? It says, well, this is right. Well, that's what I'm saying. This is what Paul must have been wondering all his life. But when he gets saved and when he gets taught by the Messiah, he gets the revelation about this. And 2 Corinthians chapter 3 is the revelation. So, you know, it's 10:05. Got started a bit late, so just give us 5 minutes, if that's okay. Yeah? Yeah. Please.
Yeah, go on.
How much do you want for a minute?
2 foot of snow outside, but go on.
Yeah, I'll just drag through this deck quick. 2 Corinthians chapter 3. Do we begin again to commend ourselves, or do we need, as some of others, epistles of commendation to you, or letters? In other words, Paul's saying, look, I don't need some letter off some fella to tell you I'm sound. I'm telling you, I'm kosher. You are our epistle, written in our hearts, known and read by all men. Clearly you are an epistle of the Messiah, ministered by us, written not with ink, but by the Spirit of the living God. Not on tablets of stone, but on tablets of flesh. Amen. That is on the heart. Amen. And we have such trust through God, through the Messiah toward God. Not that we're sufficient of ourselves to think of anything as being from ourselves, but our sufficiency is from God, who also made us sufficient as ministers of the new covenant. Not of the letter, but of the Spirit. Amen. For the letter kills, but the Spirit gives life. So let's just see what he means by that, because these greasy grace preachers get all bent out of shape. See, it's the law, it's the ministry of death, it kills, we have the flows. They get all carried away, and he needs to say, calm down. Just calm down with it. And let's see what Paul means by this, because in Romans 7, he tells you what he means by this. Romans 7, you might have to give me a little bit more than 5. Yeah. Verse 7, Romans 7, verse 7. What shall we say then? Is the law sin? Certainly not. On the contrary, I would not have known sin except through the law. I would not have known covetousness except unless the Lord had said, you shall not covet. But this is the problem, you see. Sin, taking opportunity by the commandments, produced in me all manner of evil desire. For apart from the law, sin was dead. I was once alive without the law, but when the commandment came, sin revived and I died. And the commandment, which was to bring life, I found to bring death. That's what he's saying here. The letter kills. The letter kills. Not because there's anything wrong with the letter, because there's something wrong with us. And there's something definitely wrong with sin. The commandment, which was to bring life, I found to bring death. For verse 11, for sin, taking occasion by the commandments, deceived me, and by it killed me. Therefore, the law is holy, yes, and the commandment holy and just and good. Amen. Has then what is good become death to me? Certainly not. But sin, that it might appear, sin was producing death in me through what is good, so that sin through the commandments might become exceedingly sinful. That's what he means. That's what he's on about when he says the letter kills. The letter kills because sin takes opportunity. That's what he said. The commandment came and sin revived. Sin's the problem, not the law. Verse 7, but if the ministry of death, written and engraved on stones, you've got to understand what he's saying here, was glorious, it was glorious, so that the children of Israel could not steadfastly look at Moses' face because of the glory of his countenance, which glory was passing away. This is the point. How will the ministry of the Spirit not be more glorious? For if the ministry of condemnation had glory, the ministry of condemnation had glory, the ministry of righteousness exceeds much more in glory. For even what was made glorious had no glory in this respect, because of the glory that excels. In other words, in comparison, even though that did have glory, compared to this, it had no glory. It is glorious, but not compared to this. This exceeds. Verse 11, here's that phrase again. For what is passing away, what's passing away was glorious. What remains is much more glorious. Therefore, since we have hope, we use great boldness of speech, not like Moses, who put a veil over his face. Why? So that the children of Israel could not look steadily at the end of what was passing away. This is the same phrase that he uses in Hebrews when he's talking about the Levitical order, that it's obsolete now and it's ready to vanish. It's passing away. That was when he's still at the temple and he was still going through all of that, and the writer of Hebrews is saying, look, this covenant's passing away. You won't have a temple in a few years and then it will be completely passed away, but it's fading and it's passing away. And that's what it's at the time of Israel, at the time of the golden calf, when Moses' face was all glorious, the reason he veiled it is because he knew this isn't the end area. This is not the covenant now. This is now the book of the law. This is now the Levitical priesthood. This is now the covenant at Sinai, which Paul has told us in Galatians 4 is bondage. It's what he said. And that's why, only got a few verses to go. Sorry it's gone on a little bit longer, but you know why. Verse 14, but their minds, this is the point you see, their minds, them Israelites at that stage were blinded. But until this day, the same veil remains unlifted in the reading of the Old Testament, because the veil is only taken away in the Messiah. Amen. But even to this day, when Moshe is read, a veil lies on their heart. Yeah. Nevertheless, when one turns to the Lord, the veil is taken away. Amen. Amen. Yeah, because now you're starting to hear this in a different way, because you know who the Lord is. The Lord is the bridegroom. And it's the bridegroom's job to take the veil away, isn't it? Yes. This is a bridal thing. Yes. The bride has a veil. Yeah. The bridegroom is the one who is entitled to remove the veil. So when one turns to the bridegroom, when one turns to the Lord, he takes the veil away. Because that's his prerogative. That comes right back to Leah, wasn't it? When Jacob got out off, it was like, lads, make sure you remove the veil in the future. Do you know what I mean? Well, that's where that tradition came from. And that's so biblical that the Lord is the one who removes the veil. Now the Lord is the Spirit. And where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Look, but we all know with unveiled face, because we have turned to the bridegroom, Yeshua, and he has removed the veil, with unveiled face we behold in a mirror the glory of the Lord, and we are being transformed into the same image from glory to glory, just as by the Spirit of the Lord. 6 more verses. Therefore, verse chapter 4, since we have this ministry, as we have received mercy, we do not lose heart, but we have renounced the hidden things of shame, not walking in craftiness, nor handling the words of God deceitfully, but by manifestation of the truth, commending ourselves to every man's conscience in the sight of God. But even if our gospel is veiled, it's veiled to those who are perishing. whose minds the God of this world, of this age is blinded, who do not believe, lest the light of the gospel, of the glory of the Messiah, who is the image of God, should shine on them. For we do not preach ourselves, but Messiah, Yeshua, the Lord. And ourselves, we're just your bondservants for Yeshua's sake. For it is the God, it's the very same God, the Genesis chapter 1 God, who said at the very beginning, let there be light, and there was. The same God that commanded light to shine out of darkness is the one who has shone in our hearts to give the light of the knowledge of the glory of God. Where? In the face. In the face of Yeshua, the Messiah. Can you see how this connects now? Moshe spoke with God face to face like a man speaks with a friend, but he couldn't see his face because he was coming from a weaker covenant, a less glorious covenant. We are part of a better covenant and a more glorious covenant, and we now can see his face. How? In his word. In the mirror of his word, we can see his face. So final verse, 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 12. 1 Corinthians, you love 1 Corinthians 13, it's that love one, all about love, love, love. 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 12. For now we see in a mirror dimly, but then, and you've got to get this, you've got to really let this minister to you. But then, face to face. Now I know in part, but then I shall know, just as I am also known. This is our future, that soon we are going to see him, Yeshua the Messiah, face to face, and we will be transformed in an instant at that stage, and we will be glorified, and we'll get our new bodies, and there'll be no more sin, no more suffering. So all we need to do is hang in there, keep going, keep persevering. Yeshua says to the Philadelphians, I know you've only got a little bit of strength. I know you aren't mighty. I know you aren't Superman in the spirit. I know you've only got a bit of strength. Hold fast to what you've got. Don't let anyone take this from you. Hold fast to what you've got. I'll be with you. I'll keep you. Just cling to me now. So, amen. Thank you, amen. Hallelujah. Thank you for this time tonight, Father. Thank you for your word tonight, Father. Father, let every person here tonight hear this, Father, and know that you are saying to me, to every person here, come away, my love. Amen. Come away, my love, and let me see your face and let me hear your voice. So we thank you, Father. Let the love of God, and the grace, the empowerment of Yeshua the Messiah, and the fellowship of the Ruach Kodesh, the Holy Spirit, be with each one of us throughout this Sabbath, throughout this coming week, and bring us all back safely, Father. Thank you, Abba. Amen. Amen.